these will last a really, really long time. It could even outlast yourself.
Cannot overemphasize how great all these pedals sound. Today I am with Ben Fulton from Red Witch. We got the Apothecary series.
It's the new product range that I've designed, nearly 2 years worth of work. I'm really thrilled with how they sound, how they look, and then also the reliability of them. So there's 3 things that I can sort of talk to. One was that if you plug into them, they sound great. You go, oh wow, that's a cool sound. They've got to look really cool. I think they do, you know. We've got these knobs made, they're machined aluminium and they're anodized, so they're unique. And then the other thing was, I hate the whole thing of planned obsolescence. I've been designing guitar effects for 23 years now, and so I've learned a few things. With the Apothecary series, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there which will ensure that they will last a really long time. So the top one is probably the foot switch. Most guitar effects use a foot switch which has like 20 to 30,000 cycles. So the one that we're using in the Apothecary series will last 100,000 cycles. And then the input and output jack and the foot switch are all hand wired, so they're independent. Then there's no circuit board mounting for the audio in and out. The DC socket is independent and the foot switch. It's a more cost-effective way to mount sockets on a PCB, but the problem is if the nut comes a little loose and the foot goes the wrong place, you can not just damage the socket, but can damage the circuit board. So I just wanted to avoid all of that. So it's all wired together with 22 AWG wire, so it's really robust. And then those wires come up to the main circuit board that has all of the audio stuff and the controls. I wanted to design a pedal range that'll last, 10, 20, 30, 40 years. It could even outlast yourself. It could be something you could bequeath to those you love.
An heirloom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Call it an heirloom.
It's like, the intention is that these will last a really, really long time, and so we're offering a lifetime warranty on it. I like the idea of producing something that will be around for a long time and isn't going to end up, it's sort of relegated to a landfill or something like that.
There would certainly be no reason for that because these things sound amazing.
Thank you.
That's the most important part, honestly.
Without a
doubt.
doubt.
It really is, right? When it gets right down to it, you want to have something that as soon as you hear it, you go, oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
And these do that.
Would you like to hear some stuff?
Would I?
All right. The first one is the Euphorium Fuzz. The Euphorium Fuzz is a silicon fuzz. Inside it, it's got 2 separate fuzz pedals, and you can engage the second one in series by clicking the bliss control, switching that down. With a single circuit running, it sounds like this. And when you engage the second circuit, so they're running in series, one of the things with it is it's got the grain control, which is sort of like the sputter control that we had on the Fuzz God 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right, so like a bias sort of.
It's a bias, yeah. So what it does is it just gates. And so it gives you that sort of fuzz in the sun sort of sound. So So one of the questions that people always ask about fuzz pedals is, how does it clean up? Does it get clean when you wind the volume on your guitar back? And the answer to that is this. It's really clean, and it's a really touch sensitive thing. The other thing worth mentioning quickly is that it is really touch sensitive as well. So I can have it here where it's doing, but if I pick gently, versus, so it's allowing you to really dictate how much fuzz is going on. There are some fuzz pedals where it's like it's a lot of fuzz, but if you pick lightly, it just sort of sounds kind of
dies.
Yeah.
So, this is input sensitive.
Yeah,
wow, that's nice.
There's a lot of dynamics in it, and there's a tone control obviously, and I designed that specifically so that it really just rolls in and out of that high frequency stuff with fuzz. So if you want that bitiness in there, it's there. And if you don't want it, you just roll it off. And
right,
it's
yeah,
much
and
smoother.
depending on your amp and whatever else you got going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Another interesting thing about fuzz is that, you know, how much gain does it have, volume? Like, you're at halfway, so that's great. So you've still got plenty if you want to drive the amp harder.
There's an enormous amount of additional gain above unity that's there. One other quick thing worth mentioning it too is that with a lot of fuzz pedals, the actual fuzz control only kicks in the last sort of 20% or so. With the Euphorium, it's the full range sweep. So you're able to... So it's all there.
Yeah, so it's usable across the entire range.
The entire
just
spectrum.
Less full and less fuzzy.
I wanted something where you could pull at any classic fuzz sound that you wanted to, from really, really wall of fuzz stuff through to a sort of like light sprinkling of fuzz. And then having that cleaning up with your volume thing, you know, there's a lot of versatility.
Well, and then of course the bias control too, because you can get all the way into like Spirit of the Sky kind of thing, you know.
Yep.
You know, where it's just falling apart completely.
You can dial it in and out with this. You don't have to like get fans and put it in the refrigerator, sort of
Keep
get
it cool.
it back.
Yeah, freezer before you go to the gig kind
Exactly.
of thing. Yeah.
The next one along on the board is the Plurious Chorus. A lot of folks know our Empress Chorus. It was the chorus pedal that Andy Summers used on the Police reunion tour.
Say no more.
With the Plurious Chorus, it's the next generation basically. It does all of the things that the Empress was able to do, except what I've done is the Bucket Brigade chip that I'm using in this one has twice as many stages as the Bucket Brigade chip that was in the Empress. And what that means is that I can run it faster and it actually gets the same delay time in the chorus as the Empress, but much quieter. When I was designing, I was like, oh, I can just do that and it's just a quieter version of the Empress. And I was like, yeah, but I can actually get a whole lot more delay. As a result, it can go far beyond what the Empress was able to do. But it can do all of those really pretty sounds, but can do some really extreme, like crazy sounds
right,
as well.
As you get the delay farther apart. Yeah,
exactly.
That's, wow.
And
that's
it can do
cool.
vibrato as well, and it sounds like this. There's an error control which allows you to roll the high end off for that sort of 70s kind of slightly sort of smoother sound, or have it with the more contemporary. So the cool thing is with the voice control, like the Empress, that's what controls the delay time. So when we wind it around here, we're dealing with a shorter delay time, and it's very, very light, very eerie. Which is the most extreme delay time, and I've clicked the error switch up just to take a little of the high end hiss because there's no companding in it.
Yeah.
So at the most extreme delay times, there is a little bit of noise that kicks in, but it's a much longer delay time than the Empress. So it was that sort of thing, I like to make it the same as the Empress, or do I offer more with a little bit of hiss in there? And the depth control, the sweep of it is broader than the Empress. Where it's set at the moment with the delay time at the highest, that sweep. But as I turn the depth control around, it almost sort of gets violent.
At the shortest delay time, it's almost a flanger.
It gets into that sort of that era. So the velocity can go really, really fast, in which case you get into realms of like almost ring modulation. That's your back. And it can go really, really slowly, where it'll take over a minute to go through the full cycle. But you'll have to take my word for that, because we don't have a minute to sit and listen. Yeah, man, that was great.
Let me time that.
It can do the whole vibrato thing as well by clicking this little top switch. And because it's the same thing as the chorus, with the delay time, you can make it as pronounced or as mellow as you like.
Cool.
So that's the vibrato.
I noticed there's a blend control as well. And
Yeah.
you have the blend all the way up in this setting.
With all of these having 4 dials and 2 toggle switches, you know, there's a lot you can do with those.
Yeah. Anytime you have an extreme anything pedal, but especially modulation, man, it's really nice to have a blend.
Absolutely, yeah, because you know you play through something, you kind of want to hear what it sort of does, so you want it to quite pronounce. But when it comes to the real world, particularly recording studios, you well know, sometimes all it's needed is just a little faintest hint of something or other. So it can be as subtle as you want, or it can be as over the top.
Exactly.
So it's really versatile.
Yeah.
The next is the Invidium Phaser, kind of the logical continuation of the first pedal that I designed, which was the Moon Phaser, probably our most beloved pedal. I designed it 23 years ago. So the Invidium is also a 6 FET phaser. What it offers that the Moon Phaser didn't have is the addition of regeneration. So that sounds like this. So there's the speed control, and then we've got the Cosmos as the first sort of like, what does that do? The Cosmos control determines whether the phase shift's happening in the low end of the frequency spectrum or in the high end.
Oh, interesting.
So I'll play that and sweep that control. So when it's up here, it's much more sort of shimmery. And then when it's down there, it's really... There's 2 phaser settings and 1 tremo phase setting in this pedal. And so the tremo phase is something that was unique to the Moon Phaser. Tremo phase is where the volume modulation occurs at the same time as the frequency modulation.
Oh, okay.
So basically what that means is it's like having a tremolo and a phaser synced together. And that was something that was unique to the Moon Phaser. And it sounds like this. You can adjust the Cosmos control obviously to make it more throbby in that, or more shimmery. Things get kind of fun when I add some regeneration. Where it's almost that flanger sort of type regeneration.
Yeah.
And the infinity sign, that basically brings in even more regeneration. So then we start getting into the realms of and of course, as you adjust the Cosmos control, it shifts where the phasing's occurring.
Right.
And you can use the regeneration through any of the 3 settings, the tremo phase or the 2 phaser settings.
Wow, I love that.
Thank you.
Sometimes that's the problem with the phaser. You might find the sound that you like, but when it gets to the bottom, all of a sudden you lose the part.
Yeah.
Or lose what you're playing.
Yeah. And now we move into the Epiphanous Drive. So the Epiphanous Drive is basically, I designed it as a foundation overdrive. I'm a big fan of that sort of uncompressed, highly overused term, but transparent, that sort of thing which can clean up when you wind your volume back and so on. So with the Epiphanous Drive, it's a unique circuit, and there's 2 of them inside. The same approach as the Euphorium Fuzz. You can engage with the gain toggle switch, a second basically version of the circuit, which is in series, so you increase your gain through that. It's also got the EQ toggle switch. When the EQ toggle switch is in the up position, it bypasses the bite and body control to a preset, an optimal setting that I created. When the toggle switch is in the down position, it engages the bite and body control, and I'll show you those in a sec. Nice. But I'll just run you through with the gain stage in the toggle switch in the up position. So this is just one gain stage, and it sounds like this. there's a lot of harmonic information there. It's a really rich sounding thing. It's really touch sensitive, so versus, you know, it responds like an amp.
Yeah, dynamic level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then when you engage the other gain, well, it gets gainier. When I click the EQ toggle into the lower position, it engages the bite and body. Rather than calling it treble and bass, I decided bite and body because it's an infinitely more accurate description of what it does. So I'll just play and I'll wind that body control back so you can hear what that does. So it's really the meat of the guitar sound, and it's specific to that overdrive.
Right, it kind of thins out the lower octave, which can get really woofy, like with especially if you got a 412 or something.
That's exactly right. The bite's the same sort of scenario. Just rolls off the right frequencies. So it's literally the bitey.
It doesn't lose all the high end.
Exactly.
It's not. Yeah, it's not like you're just chopping everything off.
It's still a nice. You know, and the other thing I should mention about it is it goes really, really well with other pedals, particularly fuzz pedals. It's kind of an important thing,
sure,
and not something that all drives do. So I'll just quickly show you this with the fuzz, maybe. Sure. So I'll wind the drive back a little bit, so it's just, you know, and then we'll put the fuzz on. No, I'll engage the drive. So if you could actually engage it,
sure,
I'll just play a little. You can hear that thing, like the fuzz has that great fuzz sound that we like, but it can get a little lost in the mid-range, whereas using this just as almost like a slight gain boost, but it also gives that sort of mid-hump. It's designed to be super versatile. All of the settings sound really cool. You can kind of pull out of a whole bunch of different sounds, and it's a great place to start your sound, as it were. Which brings us to the last of the 5, the Cynosium Delay. I wanted to design a delay pedal that encapsulated my favorite delays, which I'm a tape delay nut. You know, love the sound of the Ecoplex, love the sound of the Watkins Copycat. So I wanted to have a delay that offered up to sort of around 2,000 milliseconds of delay time. I wanted to have that modulation, which drew from the tape delay stuff. You know, I want to have the regen thing going so that you can get it to self-oscillate and all that sort of fun stuff. But above everything, I wanted to create a delay that just had a really beautiful sounding repeat, so that it just sat in that spot where it's not too pronounced. It has that analog voiced flavor. It's back a little, but it's still present enough that it's present.
Yeah, it's articulate.
It's articulate, yeah. But it's warm enough, but it's without being sort of woolly.
So it doesn't take over, also doesn't cannibalize your tone.
Exactly.
It's kind of that one little, like you say, the little spot.
So it sounds like this. There's a toggle switch at the top which sets the time. When it's in the up position, it's in the short delay time setting. The shortest delay time that's going on with that, I'm just going to bring the regeneration all the way down so you can just, so it won't go on for on and on forever, winding that back. So this is the shortest delay time. If I increase the regen, you get that kind of like,
yeah.
The cool thing with the regeneration as well is that you can set it so it sits in a spot where it will actually, just before taking off, it forms like a pad that it just sort of sits underneath what you're playing, which is really pretty.
I call that the twilight setting.
Yeah.
And there aren't a lot of delay pedals that have that and do that really well.
I'll show that to you. In the short delay setting on the toggle switch, on the time switch, this is the longest delay on the short delay.
The short side.
When I click into the long delay time setting, we get this, which is the longest delay time on the long delay setting, which is a reasonable amount of delay. So all I'm going to do is the toggle switch down gives you the faster modulation, the toggle switch up gives you the slower modulation. So it's like the EP3 thing, the slower modulation. It's an asymmetrical modulation, so it's not like chorus just going back and forth. So this is with the faster modulation. And I'll just bring that depth control up so you can have just a smattering, just a little faintest hint of it, or you can have it really quite a pronounced sort of a thing. So it sounds like this. So with the wow flutter toggle switch up, it's giving us the slower modulation. There's that echoplex, that asymmetrical thing, and it sounds like this. Should you want to go there, it can do all of that extreme sort of stuff. But for me, like, you know, it just adds a little beautiful shimmer.
Yeah, just a little motion in it, man.
Exactly.
You know, just so it's not quite so static or stagnant.
It can do that thing of you were describing as the twilight setting.
The twilight.
I like that.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can just. Like that really just scratches the surface. It does a lot of sounds. The big thing for me was I just wanted something which you plug in, you're like, oh, I don't really want to turn that off. I wanted to design a pedal range that, you know, when we're testing them and so on, it's problematic to test them quickly, because I'm sitting there, oh yeah, and when this happens, it's like, particularly with the delay for me, it's the one.
Too many good sounds.
It's like, you know, it's like you have X number of Cynosiums to make sure they're running perfectly, and like 20 minutes later, I'm still with the first one. It's not because there's anything wrong with it. It's actually because there's everything right with it.
Yeah, which is
That's fun.
Exactly. I got to tell you, they really, really, really sound good. Cannot overemphasize how great all these pedals sound. Excellent stuff. Thanks everybody for watching. And if you have any questions about any of these Red Witch pedals, make sure to contact your Sweetwater sales engineer or check us out online at sweetwater.com. Thanks.